Response video to a couple of videos. Power might go out, who knows, we'll see how it goes. To be serious, made a video. Would you push this button? Yeah. But whatever. It's a 3-minute video, so I'm going to play it and I'm going to try to explain why this isn't useful. This isn't an argument. This isn't anything. It's just not a useful way to disagree even.
Okay, this is going to be a very fast thought experiment. Only if you are an anti-natalist, what is your second best option? If you have one, if you don't have one.
I mean, could you phrase this in some more rational way? I mean, second best option. So, like, is that like asking somebody who was like opposed to slavery, and you say, all right, well, look, we can't free the slaves, so what's the second best option? We get them a dental plan or something? Yeah, how about that? We'll get the slaves a dental plan. So without any context, it's a useless question. If you're going to argue, if you're going to say, okay, what if somebody proved to me antinatalism was out of the question? Well, I'd still say, well, lower reproduction would be a good idea. Or the other extreme is a good idea. I mean, the point is, if we don't do the antinatalism thing, you know, let me ask you a question. What do you think the realistic odds are of the human race escaping a future nuclear war? What do you think the odds are? How probable do you think it is that civilization will be annihilated by human conflict on planet Earth? So, I mean, my argument might be, well, ideally, the best solution to that problem would be to have the worst war possible. I mean, if you can make the war really, really intense, well, then you can, you'll finish this off. But if you have a little bit of a nuclear war, yeah, then people are going to live like shit for hundreds of years with AK-47s and glow-in-the-dark and horrible, just darkest future you can imagine. So that's a thought experiment. That's a thought experiment, when you actually allow it to evolve into something. Or you talk about a circumstance that you can't answer directly. But this isn't a thought experiment.
Where is the button that we can all go to consent to our own extinction as a species?
Well, whatever. You consent to your obligation, all right, to society. So we said that we're not going to allow people to have slaves anymore. Okay, we're going to eradicate smallpox, so you can't keep it as a pet anymore. No, there's a law against that. Yeah, we're going to write laws, and that's going to be the way it is. You obey the law, or you are in trouble. It's like that with any social policy.
I mean, have you guys found the button somewhere?
Wait, was there a button somewhere that gave women the right to vote? Was there a button somewhere that did any initiative accomplished by the human race? I mean, was there a button somewhere that built the Hoover Dam?
Do you honestly think, as antinatalists, that you can just encourage a species, human beings in this case, to decide that they will not follow the dictates of their genetic programming?
Yeah, now she said, follow the dictates of their genetic program, and you wonder why you're maligned as a describer of science. I mean, where do you get that from? Where is this dictate? Where is there any kind of mechanism built into me? We know where we've evolved from. All right, we evolved from animals who had no idea that intercourse leads to procreation. All the males wanted to do was procreate. That's all they cared about. And I don't even know what the females were getting out of it, frankly, but whatever, that's their own business. But I don't think they were thinking ahead of time, I'm going to have sex so I have a little baby so I can take care of a little baby. That really wasn't going through their head. All right, so they weren't perpetuating the human species on purpose. They were having sex. That was their DNA genetic imperative, was to enjoy sexual interaction with each other. They had no instinct, no idea, no conception that they had any requirement to perpetuate their species. So that's just silly. Obviously, the only imperative to continue the species or to procreate is a cultural one. It is one you have been indoctrinated to believe is your role. That's all.
And not reproduce. Is that it? I mean, I'm not even going to argue about the...
Yeah, well, whatever. See, exactly. You're not going to argue. You're not going to provide an argument. You're just going to do this same obnoxious bullshit where you just sit on your little, I'm part of popular culture, and we find it totally offensive for anybody to poop on flowers. Flowers are pretty, and nobody should be allowed to poop on them. I mean, this is just crap.
Validity of the utilitarian equation about juxtaposing pleasure against pain.
Oh yeah, don't do the rational math. There's no reason to account for our existence, and if you buy a car, it would be idiotic to see what the fuel economy rating is and how much gasoline it uses for how many miles it produces, or what its efficiency is in terms of maintenance, or some other equation like that. It would be totally idiotic to sit there and judge whether it's of value, whether it's worth purchasing. No, that wouldn't be something an intelligence does. Jesus Cripes.
I'm not going to argue about any of that. I'm just saying...
Yeah, you're just saying nothing. You're not making a rational argument. You're just saying, I just don't understand how you people could be against baby making. Oh, I just don't get it.
There doesn't really seem to be such a button. There doesn't seem to be a universal...
Well, there's no vegetarian button either. There's no a lot of buttons, but we know progress in the future is probably going to contain some of these things because people will become enlightened, okay? And the argument is that an enlightened mind understands how they're being manipulated by a DNA molecule, and they rise above it. They say, well, I'm not going to be controlled by some idiotic nationalism. I'm not going to, everybody, look, people could live in a town and they could have a baseball team and a stadium, and then somebody someday could say, well, we're tearing it down and we're going to blah, blah, blah. And the guy would be all lamenty and moany. But it's lament and moan about nothing. It's completely useless crap. It's meaningless in its reality. It's just his emotional attachment. And we can rise above that kind of nonsense and make a rational argument that it's in the best interest to do it over or just finish it.
And senses. And I'm not sure it could ever be arrived at. If it can't be arrived at...
Well, you're not sure. Okay, fine. Are you sure that the human race will survive World War III, that civilization will survive? Are you sure that World War IV won't happen? Are you sure World War V won't happen? Are you sure of any of those things? Then why do you have any confidence stepping into that future, promoting that future, suggesting that people should have a glimmer of hope regarding that future?
What is your second best choice if you have...
Well, what is your second best choice if you can't do your little flowery, save the world through little sissy bullshit? What's your second best choice? If I give you a piece of paper that says the human race will not control its population, it'll have a huge resource crisis and World War IV, what's your second choice? That's the inevitable fact. That's what we're headed for. If I show you a piece of paper that says that's proven fact, what's your second choice?
Have one. I mean, if it's not possible to encourage people to will the termination of the species.
Yeah, well, whatever. Like I said, there's obviously, if I could draw the conclusion and some other people could draw the conclusion is drawable. So you're just saying that I know that my popular majority opinion is the right opinion. No. So there's nothing. The only obstacle is making a persuasive argument. And so you're saying you're going to make a more persuasive argument that life isn't futile and pointless and stupid, that we aren't just consuming and reproducing like dumb, stupid, idiotic animals, and that someday we're going to singularity or some other kind of crap, and that we're not just going to get into another stupid war and do a lot of create a lot of grief. and suffering. Another 6 or 7 million Jews in a concentration camp? Well, try on 2 or 3 billion next time. How would that be? That would be acceptable to you, right? Yeah, you kill a few billion. Let me ask you a question. I always use this a lion metaphor. How many lion cubs have to die, okay, before their first birthday, for you to say lions is a dumb idea? I mean, it's 10 now. Does it have to be 20? Does it have to be 50? What number do I have to get to before you say, oh yeah, that is pretty much fail, let's not do that anymore?
To which they belong. What is your second best choice? I mean, I agree the planet is in very bad shape. And I agree there are lots of selfish people who don't care about suffering. What I don't...
Well, what if you can't convince them? What's your second choice? Huh? What's your second choice? Gonna bake cupcakes?
What I agree about is that the ultimate consequence of that might be that you can encourage people to say, you know, I have really seen the light here, and I have decided I will not reproduce, and what do you know, everybody on the planet has decided that too. So the human race will soon be extinguished. I don't even think that's a good idea, by the way.
Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever.
I think we're reproducing in horrific numbers. I don't think we understand the big picture as a species. I think we're very callous.
Yeah, fine. I can say the very same thing about you. I think it's sadistic to sit there and justify and rationalize the suffering that's paid for this trivial, silly game. It's totally myopic, closed-minded, in-the-box, brain-dead. You know, to think you're accomplishing something or there's something to be accomplished. You're just an addict justifying your heroin, and that's all there is to it. So yeah, you're not getting the big picture.
I don't think we care about suffering, but I also do not think that we are going to opt for our own extinction.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't think this battery has much of a personality. Yeah, who cares? I mean, I don't think statements without any evidence or rationale or logic behind them are pretty frickin' useless.
So, what is your second best choice if extinction of the species by attrition is not a viable choice?
Vote Republican and root for an incredibly insane 4 million nuclear bomb war to get it over with clean and fast. I mean, yeah, there's a point, like you're going to hit a tree, right? Or you're going to go over a cliff or some other thing. Well, a cliff would be a bad example. Yeah, you're going to hit a tree. And there's this point where you're going, uh-oh, I'm going 50 miles an hour. My odds of not having a catastrophic paralyzing injury are like, 1 in 10. So maybe you just step on the gas pedal and say, well, I might as well go for death because it's going to be better than what I'm going to be stuck with here. So yeah, if you want an answer, that's my fucking answer to this immature, silly, stupid question. My answer is, yeah, vote Republican and try to get the world blown up. Happy?
What do you do as a second best choice? That's my question, because I haven't been able to find this human extinction button.
Oh, isn't that funny and trite? That's right. We didn't have it. There was no, stop slavery button. We took a civil fucking goddamn war. There was no women's right to vote button, women's right to own property button. None of these buttons ever exist. People have to argue. People have to sometimes put their life on the line. Sometimes have to get into, horrible circumstances to defend what they think and or what they know to be right. That's just the way it is. You're not going to find a little simple, easy to do button thing. It doesn't come that easy. So whatever. Fuck you. Stupid video. So on to Professor Anton. So we're going to move up in his video. First 7 minutes were kind of dry. Just talking about mush.
There is for unknown reasons, a DNA molecule just emerged and hijacked people, and now everyone's on a roller coaster beyond their control.
This is, why even do something like this? I mean, obviously a DNA molecule didn't hijack people. All right, we're the product of it, and you can just do all this little mocky thing about evolution, but it's a fact of our existence. It's where we came from. You have 5 fingers for a reason. Your whole body's been built out of it. You were a salamander, millions of years ago, and that's the truth of it. And so you can keep playing games with that reality, but that's the reality. That's what we're made out of. That's what we're made for.
And they're really kind of just subject to the whims of evolutionary development. And now they're trapped in this prison called what has evolved into the conditions that they had sort of emerged into. And
it's a trap either way. It's a trap if you stay dumb and ignorant in nature. It's a trap if you become civilized as still having that nature, still being a lizard at your roots. Because the thing, none of this is going to ever work. The more you civilize us, the more you neuter us, the more you take life out of us, the more you kill it. All right, but the more alive it is, the more grotesquely inefficient the equation becomes. I mean, let's go back to women having 15 kids and only one of them surviving to be 5 years old.
I end up wanting to say, okay. No, here are some of the problems there. Again, first we go back to this praxis issue, that there are countless ways that we can grow ourselves, cultivate ourselves, develop ourselves. And I made a list here of just, again, there's so many things in life that are important, but...
He doesn't read the list until later. So I'm just going to move up a little bit. It's just the same old argument, that... let's see, what's the words he used? I can't remember them. But it's just the same old argument. There's a lot to live for. Life is neato. And that's all coming down to is that the neato factor. It's neato enough to justify it, to accept it. We can accept that millions of people right now are living in absolute shit, going through absolute horror. Because you feel okay, life is good. I mean, my argument to you would be is if we could actually take all the sentience on Earth right this moment, for the next 5 minutes, and just mix all of that sentience, conscious experiences together, and we could stir it up, you would realize pretty quick how dark it is in its real nature. What the real hard nastiness of what's taking place on this planet. You'd get that picture real quick.
But trivial. They don't have to be. I mean, life is a lot of little things. I think sometimes people imagine other animals have various levels of intelligence. They seem to. Can they contemplate this ultimate question about the cosmos itself being conscious? Can they contemplate their own death? I don't know. The jury seems pretty much in that other animals aren't contemplating their...
Well, again, who cares? I don't know why I marked this as a good location. Well, we'll play a little bit more from here.
Own ultimate demise. Now, they may, but I tried to suggest in various videos that it's like this, that just as a tree flowers, the earth peoples, and people God. That gods, the divinities, they grow out of that self-relating, self-conscious organism that is a part of nature. That's why we don't seem to have animals building, little religious effigies and having religious institutions. It's part of language. Okay, I mean that's part of it.
Yeah, it's whatever. But I mean, what's the point? What's the point of this segregation over intelligence? That's not the only part of life or consciousness, and the most valuable part of life is this feeling, this capacity to feel. This is all just bullshit anyway. It's about being sentient. It's about being able to be harmed. Harm. Harm can happen to lots of different kinds of living things. Physical, sentient harm. I mean, even that word will be perverted by people. So whatever. I thought I had marked places to go here, but this doesn't seem all that damn interesting. I'll play a little bit more.
Right, I mean, but there does seem to be again, this larger question of, is the cosmos itself intelligent? Now, if you say that it isn't intelligent, well, where are you getting the intelligence to make that claim? So, if you're going to really try to make the argument that the...
Oh, I mean, this is such a silly argument. I mean, it's like saying, look, I can make a calculator. This isn't a calculator, but pretend it is. All right, it'll be able to do math, a million times better than me. Quicker, faster, preposterous equations I can put into it, and it'll solve them. All right, so obviously I made something that can do something I can't do. The fact that nature, through billions of years of evolution, was able to construct what we are, and the fact that we are capable now of viewing the universe and picking the logical truth out of it, discovering the truth of relationships and understanding those relationships. The fact that we can do that doesn't mean the universe can. The universe is still ignorant. The universe is not a calculator. The universe can't do what we can do. All right? Even though we're a product of it, it doesn't matter. We do something entirely different than what the universe is doing. And that's just the truth. And so this little word game to try to imply that we are the universe contemplating itself is just that. It's a word game. It's playful, poetic, silly, phantasmagorical whitewash.
The cosmos itself is unintelligent. From where do you get the intelligence to make that claim? Well,
a process called evolution.
You're part of nature. You've evolved this kind of intelligence. Now, okay, so somebody wants to say, well, that's really not significant. Well, to me, it seems like it is significant. Because where did it come from? How does all this make sense?
The whole point is it doesn't make sense. Don't you get it? That's the whole point. It doesn't make sense. All right, the basic mechanisms surely make sense. We can understand the parts of the clock. We can dissect this universe thing and we can see the parts where we say, oh yeah, it's not keeping time. It's not doing a proper value equation. It's ignorant and stupid. It's behaving retardedly because it doesn't know what sentience is. It can't appreciate that it's causing pain and harm unnecessarily to creatures. It has no fucking clue. So it's obviously not calculating, functionally doing the calculation that we're capable of. We're capable of understanding. The universe is not capable of understanding. Come on, play fair.
I mean, I'm not nature, but I'm not it. Okay, now...
Yes, you are not it. Okay, you're not it. You're not it.
If I push the envelope even further, I say, could intelligence have not emerged? Now, I don't know if intelligence was there for the billions of years of inorganic matter that preceded.
Well, like I say, if we call intelligence relationship, okay, if we just call it understanding like trigonometry, like the rules of a triangle, yeah, they're always there. Those rules are always there. There's a rule. Sentience has value. There's a value equations. They're there. There's a relationship to be discovered, to be understood. So yeah, they're there without us being there. We don't need to be there for the value equation to exist.
The emergence of life and DNA and what we call, higher mammals and our own, human sentience, self-aware consciousness. I'm guessing that there wasn't intelligence prior. I'm guessing that. I don't think you need it. Right? You don't need it, right? But I guess I am stuck with that it did emerge, and even...
So what? Again, there's a car out in the driveway. It can move 10, 20, 40 times faster than I can. All right? So what? A human being made it doesn't mean it's doing something a human being can't do. I mean, you can find all kinds of examples of this. Anyway, just going around in circles a little bit here.
If it wasn't inevitable, it seems as if all of the possibilities were such that it could have been... And what does that mean?
Well, what does it mean to you? What if humans never acquired that whatever bizarre circumstance where they did this thing that nothing else does in evolution, very rarely, where we acquired a capacity we didn't fully capitalize on. We acquired the capacity to understand and do high thinking, all right, 100,000 years ago. We had no way to use it because we didn't have all the information written in books. We couldn't build the culture. We couldn't do all the other stuff. So all we were doing with that high intelligence was, putting bones on the end of our arrows, using very little of that potential. That doesn't happen too often in evolution, where you're given something that has such a high extra value potential. So what if it never happened? And the planet Earth was just littered with all these little sentient creatures eating each other, year in and year out, for millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Are you going to sit there as a bystander and say, oh, isn't that magnificent?
See, it seems like there are two very, very significant facts. One is, or two significant questions, right, that I'm trying to offer what I'm calling facts as response to these questions. But one question is the universe itself intelligent? And
no.
And the other question is, could this intelligent consciousness, could it have not been?
Yes. I'll go back to the universe being intelligent. Like I said, the facts are out there. Okay, the fact that kitten under tree is a bad thing. Now, there doesn't have to be a kitten under a tree anywhere for kitten under a tree to be a truth. It's just a truth. It sits out there as a truth, floats around in the ether as a truth, as a relationship. Like, there doesn't have to exist a single triangle in the universe for the rules of triangles to still exist. Yeah, that's enough. I mean, there's no point in arguing this to death. So anyway, at the end of this video, it has this whole list of little fun stuff, which is just horrible. So I'll just play a little tiny bit of it.
Tending a garden, spider webs, ruins on ancient civilizations, the smell of freshly baked bread.
Oh, the smell of old people and babies. Whatever. I mean, so I could make another list and just go down the list. Syphilis, polio, typhoid, the spot thing, spotted fever or whatever it is. Come on, what is that? Well, whatever it is, the old one. But you got all the other ones, mumps, measles, they still killing people. Impotency, I mean, we go down the whole list. Cancer, all kinds of cancers. I mean, I could go melanoma, follilola, blolola. I mean, there's a zillion different kinds of cancers, right? I could give all the little technical names, and we go all down that list, and we can get to all these other extravagant and bizarre diseases that afflict human beings and cause them great deals of suffering. And, yeah, I just think my list is going to kick your list's ass. But then I would just look like a depressive, oppressive force if I did that, if I played that game. So, but that's always how it's going to be. The little optimists get to do their little tiptoeing through the daisy thing, and it's okay. But if the realist points out that you're tiptoeing through dog shit, yeah, somehow he's the evil one. He made the dog shit. It's like people haven't stepped in until you point it out to them. It's not dog shit until somebody else says it's dog shit. So it's almost like the emperor's not wearing any clothes kind of thing in reverse or something. Like somehow you're guilty for recognizing the truth. But whatever. Enough of the video. Not too bad. 28 minutes. Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, till next time.